Hey listeners, powered up by Mazer Group, this is the Turnin Dirt podcast. I'm your host, John Mazer. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, it's our pleasure. I was excited about this one. We had to cancel the last one, and I'm really sorry about that. But yeah, we reconvened on this wonderful Monday, and here you are.
Yes.
Yeah, your morning started at 5.
Yes.
You're saying, which is awful.
Like, yes, it's horrible. I'm not a morning person. Everyone knows that about me.
Yeah, I don't know who. Only the psychopaths and serial killers are actual morning people. So yeah, the fact that you made it here is so good. So, Sarah, you operate and own, partner. We'll get into that. Atlas York Insurance.
Correct.
Okay. So, and you've been in the insurance business for a while.
Yes, over 20 years.
Wow. Okay. So did it start at Atlas York? Why don't we go back to the beginning?
Sure.
How you got into it?
Sure. So I'll start with the fact that I said I would absolutely never be in insurance.
Oh, really?
So that's kind of where it all started. Is my mother actually owned has actually owned now 3 different brokerages, insurance brokerages. So property and casualty, your home, farm, auto insurance businesses. So in our hometown of Rosetown, Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
And so she partnered, I think, in the early 80s with a local kind of accountant. They started a business, and that was where it really started.
Mama was on it, hey?
Oh, yeah, she was on it. Yeah. She actually has been in insurance for 54 years. She's still in it. Yes. I don't think will ever retire. And so, yeah, so it was something that I just naturally was in my family.
Yeah. That we were never going to get into.
Never going to get into, because that's all we talked about.
Yeah.
At the supper table, it was farming. It was either agriculture and insurance. And then how can you insure the agriculture, the machinery and that sort of thing. So I was like, there's absolutely no way I'm going to be in farming and no way I'm going to be in insurance. And so I left the family farm when I was 17 and went to university. I went to the U of S and took business and ended up majoring in human resources.
Nice.
And so naturally, my first job, I actually started before I had even completed my degree, was with Saskatchewan Blue Cross, which is a group life travel. I wouldn't say insurance, I'll call it benefits, because that's how I had to convince myself that I was going to be not in insurance. It was benefits. It's completely different. It's not insurance. So I started in that, in kind of group benefits, and worked my way through a number of different HR roles, training, development, compensation, the whole thing, and ended up landing kind of in a management role, in a leadership role there, leading out their individual life, travel, individual health products.
Yep.
And did that for about, 5 or 6 years, and then kind of got scooped up for a promotional role in Regina.
Nice.
Moved to Regina and worked as the vice president of sales and marketing for a company called GMS.
Oh, so this is a different company until you didn't...
Totally different company,
Okay, so you got headhunted.
Yeah, I
Isn't
got
that great?
headhunted.
Like,
I know.
like
what a lovely feeling. Yeah.
But Sarah,
You want
honestly,
me.
how much did those conversations around the supper table when you got into your career help you with some of the language and some of the understanding in this business?
I mean, I hate to admit it, but it fundamentally allowed me to grow in my career the way that it has, because everything, for those both are Saskatchewan-based companies. I should indicate that they're local organizations that I've worked for there in the insurance industry. And so obviously agriculture and, property and casualty, they were the companies that were actually selling and distributing those group benefits, and those individual products were some of those property and casualty. So it just was so natural, and it kind of all flowed together and helped me for sure. Yeah.
So you picked up the lingo, and along with your mom's drive, you picked that up too, I see. Because I mean, you're very successful, and it's almost intimidating sitting across the table from you. But Mama was on it, from a very early, very early age. If she was in it for 50 years. So where do you think that came from? The drive in her, because you said she was she started 3 insurance.
So she grew up in Rosetown, Saskatchewan, and her family grew up quite poor. My grandpa was in the war, in World War II, and I think her drive came from just the desire to prove herself and to really build something for herself and for her family. And so she went to Saskatoon and took some schooling in Saskatoon, some business college, and ended up started working at a company called SMI, which actually now is Sandbox. So it's a very well-known insurance, local insurance company. And so that's where she got her start. And I think she just loved insurance, and the kind of love, she fell in love with my father. They moved back to Rosetown on the farm, And she decided that she was going to start her own insurance company in Rosetown, insurance business. Yeah.
Yeah. And the fourth generation farm was it fourth generation when you were on it?
No, it was three. Now it's four.
Yeah. And that's through dad's side.
Yes.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So back to you.
Yeah.
You had this first couple, you got to a VP role, and then was there a conversation? Was there with mom about, which wasn't Atlas York at the time?
No.
Correct. Okay.
No. So my mom was always getting close to retirement and being interested in kind of selling her brokerage. I had no interest at that time, and I actually started helping broker it for her. So I started talking to a number of other brokerages and around and that sort of thing to help potentially sell it. And then one of the individuals that I worked with at GMS, my really good friend that I worked with at Blue Cross and at GMS, she actually expressed interest in becoming a broker again. She was at one time a broker in Manitoba.
Yeah.
Grew up in Winnipeg there.
A friendly neighbor.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, of course. And so she started way back in the day with a company called One Insurance. It's a well-known insurance brokerage in Manitoba. It wasn't that at the time, but when she was working then. So anyways, she said she would be interested. So
Gotcha.
I started working with her to be like, okay, I'll get you in there. We'll get you working there. So she actually started working for the organization that my mom currently owned, which was Johnston Insurance Services.
Johnston.
Yes,
Okay.
It was quite the mouthful.
Yeah.
And so she started working there for about 2 years, and then we started having talks about me coming in as like a silent partner, and that she would run it.
Okay, so you weren't there yet.
No, I was.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was actually on maternity leave.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right, so you're doing your thing there.
My second child, yes.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's what really fundamentally changed it.
Yeah.
Is that I had kids, and I really wanted to start thinking about that, generational wealth and how I could build that. Because prior to that, it was myself, and I was loving the, senior executive money. And, it was fun. I had a lot of fun entertainment wise and those sort of things. But then when you start having kids, start thinking about what's going to happen
next?
afterwards.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So how old are the kids? Mind me asking?
They are 5 and 2.
So you're not having the insurance talks at the dinner table yet with them?
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. And I refuse to do that. But I will never say never, because every time I do, something happens. I end up doing it.
So on maternity leave, the partner that you spoke of comes in, and so your mom and her are working together. That's correct.
Yes, they're working together.
And so maternity leave ends, and so that's your natural entrance into the business. Then.
Yes. So I kind of join in as CEO, and we don't own it yet.
Yeah.
But I do come in and start really, taking a look at the business and. The more that we got into it, the more I started to see the future and that there could be a lot of growth, and that my mother had built such a fundamental foundation.
Yep.
Such a good business built solely on service and knowledge of the insurance industry for farmers, particularly the agriculture industry.
Yeah. Was that the draw for you into the business, that the potential for growth, or was you like your mom and you like insurance, or is it both?
No, I would have to say, I like business.
Yeah.
I have a very strategic mind, and I always look at, I'm usually a few steps ahead. I've already thought about what the next role is. Yep. I used to say I get bored, and I used to be like every 3 years or something, I'd have to move into a different role or do something different. I was very loyal to my previous, companies I worked at, but I needed a new challenge, a new role. And so that was something that I knew and I could see. I'm like, I can take this and it can be a long-term growth model and a long-term career for me.
Yep. Nice.
Can I ask a question, Sarah? Did your mom ever push you to take on this business?
No. And in fact, she brought it and extended it to the entire family. She said, if any of you guys are interested, my youngest brother, Jordan, he actually took all of his CABES, which is the licensing that you have to take. So he took his whole CABE and got designated as well. He is an accountant by trade from that perspective. And so, no, they just kind of extended it to everyone. We always knew it was an option. Anyone could take it over in our family if that was something that, and if we weren't, what would they do is they'd sell it, and those profits would probably become inheritance for us at some point in that. So we knew that at some point that the business would at least stay in the family from that perspective.
Yeah. And then as far as siblings, so I'm sure one of them is at home on the farm still?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have 3 brothers. I have 2 older, 1 younger.
Yeah.
One's a doctor in New Brunswick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very underachieving. Yeah. He's very underachieving. And so so I had 3 brothers. They're all professional hockey players or semi-professional hockey players. So they have all been around, the world and whatnot, and came back. And my eldest brother, Wilson, he took I think it would be, he's an agronomist. He took ag, but I think he took like ag chem or ag bio or something of that nature. And he has always wanted to farm. He's started 4 different agribusinesses we can talk about for sure as well.
Oh, wow.
So I come from a very entrepreneurial family. Every single person is crazy. Entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
I was the only one that was working for the man, at one point.
Yeah.
The rest of them have all, either started their own thing and done that sort of aspect. But so my older brother Wilson and my youngest brother Jordan, after Jordan was done hockey, came back from the States and they started farming.
No kidding. And are they living on the home quarter?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
So mom and dad moved out then?
Yes, just this year. The boot.
Yeah.
So right now it is a 4th generation farm,
and
the home quarter has actually housed every single home of my grandpa and great grandpa and my dad, and built a house on that same home. And then now my youngest brother is renovating that home and is moving into that home. So it has been our home quarter for,
using the bones of that, sorry to interrupt, using the same bones of that house. Really?
Yeah.
That's so great. And I don't know if it's going to, whatever his plans are, and he's more than, welcome. But I mean, like, I hope that like the original is just still out there to look at, add on stuff and like that. But I mean, always nice to be able to point that out. Like, hey, that's been here for 100 years or whatever.
Well, it's not 100 years. The one that my dad built is actually a little bit younger than I am, so obviously quite young.
Yeah.
So it didn't need too much work done, just a little lift here and there.
Which is available. Yeah, we have people that do that.
We have people. There are people that do that, by the way. Yeah. So so it's very cool. It's been a family farm our whole life.
Yeah.
In fact, my great grandpa, he was in the World War I.
Yeah.
Got shot in the head, survived, got a metal plate in the head. What? And he ended up dying on the farm. He rolled the grain. He was hauling grain to Zealandia, and he actually ended up drowning because like the plate in his head hit the side when he hit the ditch, and he drowned in like basically a little slough.
No way.
Yeah.
So kind of, it's like unconscious and then, oh man.
But that's what brought my grandpa home to farm. He was actually at engineering school.
Really?
At the U of S. Yeah. And he came home at 16 and he started farming.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Wow. What a story.
Yeah.
What war?
World War I.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Well, yeah. Like when is the highest immigration from places to Saskatchewan to start farming land? We've heard of people going back as like 1875.
Yeah, 1899.
In that time was when there was a lot of early 1900s. So
but that's pre-World War I, because I mean, like, there was the draw was if you came to Canada, I think, and maybe I'm blowing smoke up your asses here, but like, I mean, you got kind of appointed to a section of land, did you not? Like it was.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's what someone said is like that was part of the immigration deal. Yeah, was you have to develop land.
Sure, a lot of barren land around here. It's crazy.
But you know what? Like to make this story even more crazy.
Oh God,
I know it's just
it's awesome.
No, so he obviously got shipped off to war.
Yeah.
And at that time, he almost lost the land, like just because of that fact. There wasn't someone to farm it, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so he had to kind of fight to get it back, and they had to go through a little bit of a battle to get that back. And then my grandpa, so after my great grandpa passed away, my great grandma remarried.
Yeah.
She married a real estate gentleman. And later in life, he saw the value in the land and wanted to sell it again.
Yeah.
So my grandpa actually had to almost buy and fight for the land 2 times over.
No kidding.
In order to keep it. So it's just a really cool story to now see that my brothers are farming it.
They're there. Yeah.
It's just neat.
No, it's so awesome.
Yeah.
So back in the insurance business, Sarah, you're off maternity leave, you come back, and how do I ask this question? I'm trying to get into urban acres.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's get there,
Absolutely. So, and that's a specific farming side of the insurance business that you have come up with and added to Atlas York.
Yes.
So, what was obviously with your entrepreneurial mind, you saw that there was a need for farm specific and farm specific insurance, I guess.
Yeah. So I'll just go back to Atlas York. So what we did is we'll just fast forward. Bobby, who is my business partner, and I buy Judy Johnston Insurance Services on June 30th, 2023. So almost 2 years to the day kind of thing.
Yeah.
And within 6 months of that, we had 2 other brokerages locally around that same area contact us wanting to sell to us.
Wow.
And so within 6 months, we had bought 2 more brokerages in 2 different communities in that same West Central region. They were predominantly oil and gas and ag businesses and, so that sort of thing. So we had quickly grown in that first 6 months to have 3 locations. And just about, I would say 4 months after that, so just within almost that year, we opened up a 4th in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. So we had 4 locations within less than a year. And we had brought on a whole bunch more products, a whole bunch more partnerships. To be honest, we had a lot of people coming to us wanting to partner, just seeing the growth and seeing, what we were doing. There was a lot of interest. And so one of the things that we really right away, after we had time to take a look and really analyze what does our block of business look like now that we've acquired these, what does that look like? And we were over 60% agriculture.
Really?
Is what we were really offering. And so what we wanted to do there is we just saw that there's so much more than just the asset and the liability aspect of these farms that we could start to protect. So what we did is we created this entity. It's more of just a division of Atlas York called Urban Acres. And what it is it's professional services for agribusiness and farmers. So it's everything from your succession planning, HR. We do risk management for you, insurance, hail insurance, crop insurance. It's really that whole full portfolio, And it really just was a service that no one else was doing out there.
Wow.
That we thought that we could really, it was more of a demand, I'd say, than anything. We started working with some bigger farmers and we saw the need. They start calling us being like, hey, I need some help on this HR. I see you guys offer HR. How can we, how can you help me with this?
One common theme that I've heard in agriculture is that farmers work more on trust than most
100%
industries in this province. So if you have that trust already built up and that relationship built up, and you offer this one-stop shop for multiple services within the farm, that's got to be a huge opportunity 100%. For you, because you've already built that trust. And you're like, well, did you know we can provide this for your farm, this for your farm, this for your farm? That's smart business there.
And really, it was more like, as I said, on demand. They were asking us, right? They're like, hey, I see you guys offer group benefits. And I'm sorry, but you cannot apply basic HR principle or basic group benefits to agriculture and agribusiness. You have to understand what that is, and you have to build products that fully understand that. It is ran differently. If you're going to put your package HR, here's my termination package. No, that's not how it works on the farm, right?
Right.
So you have to understand that you have to fully know what that production looks like. What does that operation really look like in order to provide them the right level of service? I'm not going to put them a policy manual and say, here you go. Those individuals that you're bringing in from the Ukraine to help you work have never had a license, have never drove a combine worth $1 million. Here, this is what I'm going to tell you how to do to mitigate your risks. You have to fully understand what that operation is before you can truly give them that advice.
Yeah, and interesting. I'm just sitting here. I'm so fascinated by your story, Sarah, because looking at a farm as an aspect of a business, here we are in Mazer Group and we have an HR department, as you were talking about, right? People that look after that kind of stuff. But, especially in our day and age, you have to have that kind of stuff, especially with the more and more employees that you get. Well, with farms, all they are is getting bigger, right? All they are is more and more employees getting out. The coverage is bigger, the employee count is bigger. So an aspect that maybe gets overlooked, and
100%.
and not on purpose, but either just the owner of the farm has a growth idea and a growth strategy, but with that comes more people. And you need businesses like yourself to look after the people.
For sure.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. I had an HR consulting company even before I had Atlas York. It was called Atlas York Consulting, actually. And hence why the name kind of was born. But, and so I do feel like a lot of the owners end up doing that off the side of their desk. Marketing, HR, I think a lot of those things, they tend up just to kind of do it on the side. And I think that they're starting to really see what the value is of having a true dedicated resource, whether it be internal or something like what we do, a consulting aspect as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, technology has let you, expedite the whole process of, advertising, and explaining the business and getting yourself out there. What's been the biggest change in technology for you and your company?
Well, I would say from an insurance perspective, AI is a big change for us in that sense, where you could historically, it would take a very long time for, let's say, underwriting, pre-rates or things of that to come in. Now you have AI where you can actually, like, the numbers are there, right? Like you can plug them in and they can kind of shoot it back to you.
Yep.
The insurance industry still is a little bit behind, I would say, when it comes to technology. We're still operating on a number of different systems, a lot of legacy. There's not a lot of connectivity. So we're still, we're trailing behind there. And so we're trying to do a lot of work.
What is the cause of that kind of traditional feel in the insurance specifically? Like, I'm curious about just like what you think causes that in that industry.
Like, why do you think that they're still so far behind?
Yeah, if they are that far behind, why do you think that industry specifically is? Is there a fear of change because of the amount of liability you guys deal with, or what is it?
I think there's a number of things. I think one, privacy is obviously a very huge aspect of that, right? So AI, there's a lot of, it's new. There's a lot of concerns there with privacy, right? You're not going to be plugging in a whole bunch of people's personal data into that system, those sort of things, right? So that'd be fundamentally one. Privacy is so fundamental and so important in our industry. But it's also that, like, as a broker myself, I work with 35 different insurance companies. So, like, they would have to come together and have one system that would all connect, right? And that's just like, it'd be like a banking system or something like that, right? Yeah. For them to all really truly agree on one. Right now, SGI, which is one of our largest, it is our largest local, kind of carrier that way. Mm-hmm. It's going through the biggest transformation they've ever experienced, and it is coming with a lot of pain points, right, and a lot of risk. So I think that's also a big concern. If you have if you have billions of dollars that you're managing, or that, it's like the risk of losing that because of the experience, or the risk of, right?
Yeah,
that could be why, for sure, as well.
Yeah, AI, it can be. Just saying the two letters, like, I mean, I don't know if you're seeing on social media, like, these fake, like, or what they call deep fake, like, videos of whether it be Trump or whether it be somebody else. But it's getting funny, but it's getting scary.
I know, like Trump and Elon. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, like they're everywhere.
Oh my God,
I try not to watch, but
it'll be funny until you see your face on the deep fake.
Yeah, saying something silly,
100%.
Yeah. And then I go, oh, actually, that's real.
Yeah.
I actually said that. Yeah.
There's a lot of fear mongering going on with AI, though, on social media as well. Like, these people saying, like, oh, the CEO of this AI company is moving out to the woods and hunting their own food because they're scared it's going to be the end of humanity. And, that's not even, I don't even think that's real.
I don't think it is either.
They can't predict this.
No.
And there's a lot of fear mongering going on, and I don't know who's behind it, but AI is what it is, and I think as humans we have to monitor and just adapt, make it useful, but watch out for the things that may get out of control, like privacy and like these deep fakes that you could show someone saying something they didn't say and weaponize that. Like, that's dangerous stuff. But I mean, I think we'll find ways of testing if that's real or not.
Sorry, the reason I'm laughing is because we're thinking about it. I gotta tell you this story. So have you seen Terminator 2 Judgment Day?
Long time.
Have you?
Yes.
Okay, so that was 91 or 92 when it came out, so I was at the ripe age of 10. So I'm watching it with a friend, and it's like the whole apocalypse, like the end of the world, machines take over, whatever. And my friend's dad at 10 years old turns to us and says, this is gonna happen if they don't stop it, right? And me at 10 going like, what? And it's like, it's August 29th, 1997. That's what I remember, the date that Sarah Connor says. And so, like, 1997, I was like, it's ending this year. In the back of my mind, I wasn't talking to anybody, about it, but it was just in the back of my mind that the Terminators are coming this year, right? Never happened, so thank God. But I mean, that was AI.
Yeah.
I don't know. I go back to everything. I go back to, like, remember, like, Millennium. Yeah. It was like things were going to shut down. Like, I feel like people are just going to get sick of how much privacy that they no longer have, and they all just shut it down for a bit. I think that there'll be a cycle here. It will get so exposed, and people will be like, you know what, I just need to chill out for a bit, and I just need to take some decks for sure. Yeah. But like other technologies, like other than like AI and that sort of thing, I think let's talk about machinery. Like while we're sitting here in this, right? Like, that is a huge change for agriculture. Yep. Like, someone who says, oh, I used to farm 10 years ago, like, it's not even relevant anymore. No. It's completely different. Like, we have to, on a regular basis, we have touch points with all of our farmers on a regular basis to ask them, if their values have changed on any of their machinery, because realistically, like the bins, if all of a sudden we have lumber changing, you know, costs and increasing or decreasing, or we have steel, all these things, we have to connect with them on a regular basis to be like, you make sure you're insured to value, because if you're not at 80% or 100, some make you have to be 100, like you're not going to have any coverage here if something happens right away.
And that can get scary.
100%, especially when you're operating a $14 million farm or whatever else, right? Like, and cyber, that's the next one I was just going to get. It is like, I don't know if there's many farmers that would have ever thought about cyber insurance in the last 5 years. But now they're starting to think about it. They're like, hey,
what does that protect someone from?
Well, exactly what we're talking about, like hacking of systems. Cyber like attacks. With GPS, we have GPS, variable rate technology, all these things now. Like it could hack into systems. It could do things that, right? Like there's so many different things that it can do that way. Even just personal accounts, all your finances. Like if you and your wife are still doing the books, or if you know, like there's personal, like it's crazy with banking and those sort of things. So it's cyber has gotten to be something that is very, very top of mind now for all businesses.
And so you're obviously helping them protect against that, right? Like,
right. Yes.
It's another another additive to like, you know, your offering, which is like, it's just it's funny how, you know, as time progresses, like new offerings present themselves to you. What do you think was not the coolest? How do I ask this, producer Jay? What was the biggest? We added this and it just blew up.
Well, you've seen extensive growth in 2 years.
I was just
you took over from Judy Johnston Insurance, and you've rebranded, retold the story. You've absorbed and purchased three businesses, and opened a fourth. You have connections in Edmonton, so you're moving geographically. Just like, I'm just curious about that whole story. You've added Urban Acres. You've expanded into HR offerings. Like, how, like, could you just talk about that story a little bit of like how you got there and what you see the future of Atlas York looking
She's
like?
Always looking ahead. She planned the whole thing.
Well, I did and I didn't. It's like, yes, like for sure, like when I set out to do it, like my goal was to make an impact. That I've grown up in Saskatchewan. I've lived in Saskatchewan my whole life. And I really wanted to just make an impact on the communities. I saw that a lot of rural communities were sometimes struggling if like banks were closing or things of that nature. The, let's say, locally owned independent insurance brokerages were starting to somewhat be challenged with large consolidation and some of those things. And I kind of wanted to, let's say, fight a little bit against that, in the sense of I still really believe in local independently owned businesses from a consumer protection perspective. And that's kind of what I fundamentally was like, hey, let's keep this going. We obviously would have to scale and grow a bit if you're going to make an impact. Typically, that does come with a little bit of growth. It's harder to make an impact on communities if you're only in one. And so for us, the opportunities, really the coolest thing that I think is like I set out to want to have people partner with us, like insurance companies. And right now, it's actually a challenge for a lot of smaller brokerages to get contracts. And so for us, one of our goals is to either attract them to want to come and work with us because we do such great service and because we stand by, you know, our reviews and our business model. And that started to happen. And that was cool when people were starting to come to us, like large insurance carriers saying like, we would like to give you a contract. We'd like to have a partner with you. Or historically, it would have taken a lot longer to get that contract, or you'd have very high volumes you'd have to sell in order to get that. But because we had focused so much on the brand, to answer your question, Producer Jay, like the thing that I'd be the most proud of would be that we took 3 different businesses, very well established, all had been in the business for over 25 years, all had their own name, all had their own kind of legacy. And in 1 year, we were able to build a brand under a net new name that people recognized and understood and trusted. And that took a lot of work. That took a lot of work in terms of, we launched a community of care program, which was really tying the existing owners of the brokerages to the community still with us, and giving back to those communities to different types of organizations that were local in those communities. So we did things like that. We did a lot of research we tried to keep the name Johnston Insurance, like just condense it, but there was too much competitive naming rights out there for that. So we couldn't do that. So that would be something that I'd be the most proud of. But we've grown, we've almost quadrupled.
It's crazy. Like,
in terms of our premium,
when you said, sorry to interrupt you, but like when you gave the date of the 2023, I'm like, That's 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's only 2 years ago.
And then you were like, I mean, I don't know how long you were there, and then you got the calls from those two. You were talking about the two insurance brokerages, I think. Yeah. We want to join. I'm like, you're like, fucking rights, you want to?
Yeah, I know. I was like, and we went all in because like we were like, well, this is gonna be like, I know, drinking from the fire hose, like for sure, but. You know, and my poor partner, I wish she was here with me because she'd be sitting here the whole time being like, I just kept being like, she's not going to stop. She's not going to stop. She's not going to stop. And I promised her I'd take a break this year, but we are doing an acquisition in August as well. But I said just one little one, not a big one.
It's just a little one.
Just a baby one.
It'll be quick. Yeah.
So she balances me out because she is like she is an expert broker. She has won many awards for her brokering, and I'm more of the, again, business side of it. And the
savvy fucking after it. Yeah. She's the one going, less is more.
Yeah, 100%. She's like, no, let's just take a break. Let's just take a break. And like, we are taking a break. This is a slow.
Yeah. I don't know what to do with myself right now, so I'm doing you a favor. Yeah.
But the one product line that I would say we've seen the most growth is our group benefits.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we launched group benefits in just 1 year, and we have also grown to be large.
Wow.
Yeah, it's great. So it's been we brought on a really good individual that I worked with at Saskatchewan Blue Cross. Yeah. And she's just been fantastic. So.
Yeah. So I should know this, like with your growth, like do you go by locations?
Yeah.
Okay. How many do you have?
So we have 4 locations. We have Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. We have Rosetown, Saskatchewan, which is my hometown and kind of our flagship. Yep. And then Dodsland and Colville.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And Rosetown is where you live. That's where is that HQ?
That's no, I live in Saskatoon.
Oh, okay.
But Rosetown is kind of like that's the one that my mother started. Yeah. And the one that we kind of call our flagship and
gotcha.
Our home base.
And she's still there.
Yeah, she is still there.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
I told her
awesome.
she's not on the payroll and she comes in, but she just loves it. Like she can't sleep if she drives by a farmer and she sees that they have a new combine, she is coming in and being like, that's not on the policy, get that on the policy. Like she just can't sleep at night. Yeah. She can't. And it's just in her. And I said, if she stops, she'll die. So she's going to be there forever. She'll die there. It's going to happen.
I got a question about insurance. That's just random. And I'm not an ag guy and I'm, not an insurance person. So if a bank is going to lend a farm money, just like how I got a mortgage for my house, that they demand I have home insurance, they will not give me a mortgage without home insurance.
Same with a lease car, that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if a bank is going to lend a farm money, or they're going to leverage with a bank, what insurance will the bank mandate that they have? Do they need crop insurance? Do they need hail insurance?
Well, lots of times you're getting your loan from like FCC, an operating loan or something like that from one of those. And so they obviously have access to any of the information that they need that way. But we have to confirm coverage all the time. Like if someone gets a new combine, like for $1 million, we know what they're going for, right? Yep. That we have to verify that coverage all the time, then show them that they have insurance. And so lots of times that is actually one of the things that has changed fundamentally the most, I'd say, is that the time in order to get that back, like the farmers are wanting it immediately because they're like, hey, I just got this. I want to start tomorrow. But it's taking a lot longer to get that proof of coverage and that confirmation of coverage just because the values are getting so high. Yeah. And there's maybe multiple people that are on risk. So now there's this thing called subscription insurance, which is basically multiple insurance companies are covering, let's say, one farm or one operation instead of having like that one with SGR, one with Wawanesa, or, that's now it's multiple and they're all coming together because they don't want to take on that large of a risk because it is too much of a risk for them.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. So you see, I don't know, I hate calling them denials, but like, you'll send away and they'll come back and they'll just say, no, we can't do this. Like we don't have enough, the power to do it.
Yeah. Lots of times it's the reinsurers. Yeah. So the reinsurers are definitely tightening up. There's been so many cat losses and catastrophic events, right? You can call it volatile, weather or violent weather when it comes like we used to get, I feel like rain many times over and now it just comes all in one. And it's like, we just got flooding the other day, right? Like it's crazy. We can be in a drought and then boom, we're flooded. So I think that just those risks now, it's so much harder to cover because they can be such large losses for some of these insurance companies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is crop insurance just talking about covering yourself on low yields, or is it like crop damage?
More damage than anything, I think. Like, I mean, you have the option to put hail on and stuff like that. But I mean, that's the biggest thing that I think you're protecting from is the loss of the grown crop, for lack of better words.
Or if it's weather, right? If there's just horrible weather and you cannot produce a crop, crop insurance will come in. We sell hail insurance. We're right in the middle of hail right now. And hail covers hail insurance, hail damage, and also fire, which I think a lot of people don't know that it does cover fire as well to protect those inputs in those crops. So
yeah. Come September, you see those beautiful golden fields of wheat flowing in the wind. If you get a fire in there and a little bit of a wind, like
it's gone.
Yeah, you talk about catastrophic. Like, I mean, that can burn just as hot and fast as the forest fires we're seeing. Like, it's crazy.
And the insurance provider is the one that would send someone out to assess the crop. You don't deal with that. You are the broker of that, or who would go assess the crop damage and say you're covered for this?
Well, it depends on which product. So, like for hail insurance, we actually do have internal advisors it's kind of a unique product that we sell as well. We have hail advisors that actually will, like, let's say you're a large farmer, you want to have a whole bunch of, you put quite a bit of hail coverage on, but you want to go to the lake and you don't want to necessarily come home every time that you hear that the weather's changed or that sort of thing. We'll actually send them out. They'll assess the crops. They'll look at it. They'll work with the advisors and the adjusters to truly assess whether or not the assessment's coming back properly. If they're saying it's 100% loss, great. If they're saying it's only 50 and there's a little bit of, debate or argument there, we have that as well. So that's a cool service that we offer that a lot of people don't offer right now. But yes, in some cases, like typically it depends, but there's a lot of, I would say, independent third party adjusters now that all the companies will particularly use. So,
I see.
So they're usually not in-house. Sometimes they are, and sometimes they've gone more to like a third party. So that's a change that's happened over the last few years. So they used to be all in-house, like the claims would be handled start to finish. And so that's a big part of people determining insurance, right? And if you really want, the claim is the biggest thing. Like, it's when you have a loss, what is that experience? Do they pay on time? Do they pay quickly? Do they assess it the way that you wanted it to be, right? So that's something that we work very closely with individuals on.
We want the money. They want the money.
Everyone wants the money.
Everybody,
but the insurance company doesn't want to pay it right
No,
away.
that's right.
They can get interest on that money if it's a big number.
Well, I'm curious about this. Like, there is kind of a myth out there, and maybe you can help me with this, Sarah, but there's a myth that, like, insurance companies, at the end of the day, it's in their best interest to not have to pay out a claim, so that they may try to find as many reasons as they can to not. Is, like, I know it's your industry, but is that a myth? At the end of the day, they're legally responsible to pay out a rightful claim.
Yeah. The insurance companies that I work with, 100%, like that's not, it's a myth.
Okay.
Like, obviously, I think
myth is busted today.
I think that if you had like some financial, like individuals that said it would make the most sense for them to, let's say, prolong paying a claim because they can get the interest off of those amounts for it. They have reserve funds. They have every investment. They have all those things set aside. That, like, they have 10 good years. They're preparing themselves for a couple bad ones, right? So they don't need to do that. They truly are trying to pay those claims as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And so they're in the business to pay claims. And most of them will say that. Like, that's the whole reason that they're there. If people don't need insurance, if people don't need insurance, like if no one's making claims, trust me, that's what we find the most with group benefits is like, if they don't use it, that's not good. Because then they don't want it and they don't see the value in it. And so then they say, hey, I don't need this plan anymore. I'm not using it.
Yeah, totally. So however, they are, I mean, everybody's allowed to ask questions too, right? That's, I think that's another side of it, maybe like not wanting to, from your question, to not wanting to pay or the myth. But like, I don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're seeing anyway, a lot more equipment burning for no reasons right now. And I mean, it's with the, technology and all the stuff that's the equipment is equipped with. Like, I mean, there's just so many more fire starters, for lack of better words, that are on there, right? So I think they're asking more questions now too on, because I mean, we have, the equipment that's provided by us that the customers buy, but once they get it in their hands, yes, we can give them a set of rules on what they can and can't do with it, but that doesn't mean we can stop them from doing that, right? So, that's a whole other ball of wax when you get into factory warranties and what's covered without touching the equipment. And then, but customers, because I mean, we're getting into, as I'm sitting here talking, I'm trying like, hey, what do I say and what do I don't? But we're getting into like, emission stuff and DEF and deleting and all that kind of stuff. And then chipping engines, that's a whole nother something, right?
Yeah. And like we had the most fire claims we've ever had last year.
Really?
Combines, what have you. And there was certain headers that, were found that could be responsible for that. There's different things that are, coming to light. Also, it's weather. There was a lot of ways that we've worked now with a lot of our farmers that have been prone to some of these losses or some of these claims, and we've now started to help them with the risk management up front. So this is where we tie in the HR and some of that risk management. Look, you have to have a fire extinguisher on every single crop. I mean, on every single combine or tractor, you have to have that in place. In fact, we'll provide it for you if we really need to, right? If it's something that necessary that way. And there's some insurance companies that will actually, based on the operation, will reduce your premiums because they see that you have run a clean operation or that you have some of these in place. And that's where we jump in. We will advocate for them. We go to the farms, we take the pictures, we know the layout of their entire yards and the bins. We draw diagrams and that's what my business partner is doing today. She's in North Belford doing that for a farmer today, right? And so we just take that extra little step so that we can know that we can go to bat for that farmer. So if they do have a fire, like my brother's had a combine fire last year, and he actually brought out his diskers that day randomly. And it just happened that day. But he was able to contain the fire. But it was a total loss. It just right up, and it was, it was a huge shock to him. But
crazy.
It's just things that there's ways to prevent not prevent them, but especially from exposure to other people's farms or the rest of the crop going up and things like that.
Yeah, does the preventative stuff, what you just talked about, does it help in and speed of processing claims? Like, I mean, hey, everything was in place here. Like, I mean, they did as much as they possibly could. Let's just get this through.
100%. And those touch points again about like having the right machinery listed. Like when we acquired one of those locations, the first thing we did was go through everything with those, because the risk is like, oh, they don't have a machinery covered. Like, what that, know the cost of that or the impact of that, right? So it's so important to keep those files updated. There's so much more administration involved with farm insurance than it was years and years ago. And you're looking at an operation of $14 million. Like you have to invest in that. You have to treat it like exactly what it is. Like, when you got premiums coming in of $70,000 or things that's coming out of those farmers' pockets, they want to make sure that it's being taken care of.
Yes, absolutely. So, good stuff. You mentioned the community of care grants before.
Yes.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
Sure.
So it is for, I'm just going to let you go.
Okay.
Care grant.
Sure. Sounds good.
Go.
Yes, 100%. So the community of care grant, again, it was part of really that impact and giving back to the community. So when we knew that we were growing very quickly, and we were getting some feedback that people were a little bit worried about it. Oh, the change, even though it was a family business in the sense that I bought it from my mom and, I was a local Rosetown girl and that sort of thing. There was still like, hey, this is change. You're changing the name. You're doing all these things. And so what we really wanted to do is show that we have a really good connection, not only with the community, with the previous owners, and that they chose to sell to us. We didn't go to them. They came to us. And so for us, we wanted to really show that we care about the community, and it's one of our fundamental values. It's written everywhere. But we wanted to be present in the communities. So not just like giving money back, because we're new, we're in our infancy. We can't just go and throw a bunch of money back into the communities, but we were able to partner with a company called Sandbox, which I think I referenced before. They're a local mutual insurance company here in Saskatchewan, and they partnered and matched whatever we did to give back to those communities.
Oh, no way.
So the previous owners actually selected where we would give back to. So in Dodsland, he selected the clinic, the local clinic there. And then also in Plenty, which is a small town close by, the learning, it's called the Little Legacy Learning, gives back to the kids and daycares and some of the facilities there in that sense.
Gotcha.
And then in Colville, we gave it to, it's called the Colville Endowment Fund, but it is, again, it's where they take old homes or homes and buildings and turn those into areas where they could have daycares.
Wow.
So again, kind of keeping that for the community and keeping the younger and schools and that sort of thing as well. And then, in Rosetown, it's called Wheels for Wheels. And so it's really like mobility for people that have disability or seniors or people that can't necessarily get around as well. So an opportunity there. Judy was very involved with like the age-friendly community and is, herself as a senior. And, well, she wouldn't pretend that she isn't. But, so it was just like, it was something that we just felt like we needed to do. We want to always do it on a yearly basis and give back to the community. And so we're actually hosting our first ever golf tournament this year in Rosetown, and it's going to be the Community of Care. Listen to this one, Community of Care Charity Classic. That's a lot of C's. And so we're pretty pumped about that as well.
No kidding. Whose brainchild was this?
The golf tournament?
Or no, just the care grant.
Oh shoot! I think it might have to be me.
Yeah.
If I think about it, I was like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was something I had in there for the longest time. Yeah. So I think so.
Good stuff. And local community, obviously, that's very important. Such a tenant in businesses such as ours, that are involved with community, right? So, So we're 2023 when it kind of all started with Active York. You're 2 years down the road here. What's next? Or I know you've got an acquisition coming here, which we'll just leave alone, which is fine. Do you see yourself going outside of Saskatchewan?
Yeah. So we actually just maintained a Manitoba license.
Really?
Yes, at the beginning of June here. So we will be branching into Manitoba.
Confirmed?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She's on fire, man.
I know.
Holy moly.
And Alberta.
Yep.
So right now we're going to do the prairie provinces, and that's kind of where we'll stick. That's our bread and butter. That's kind of what we know and understand from the agriculture perspective and the business. And I mean, our target market is when it comes to group benefits, it's that small to large, medium enterprises. That's what Saskatchewan is made up of. So that's kind of where we target that way. And so we have to be very cautious. Our model is very high touch, very service oriented, and very relationship driven. And so for us, expansion is going to look at expanding with our existing client base and having more products for them that we can offer to them. We also do life insurance and succession planning. And so we really have to focus on that more so than trying to go and get a whole bunch of new, smaller clients.
Sure.
Because that is truly where we differ and where our offering stands is that trusting in that existing relationship. So you have to be careful because you can't just all of a sudden be like, hey, I want to be national. And you lose that service model quite quickly.
Yeah.
So for us, our growth is always very intentional. It's another one of our values is being intentional. And so we make decisions quickly, but with intent. And so we'll keep kind of doing that. Bobby's from Manitoba. Awesome. It's her hometown. She's excited to kind of,
go home.
To expand that way.
That's exactly what happened. We came here in 2019 into Regina, and Dad always said, I'm coming home because he's from Radville.
Oh,
so I'm coming home.
All right.
Yeah, I'm coming home. So that was a big step. So, up until now, you've had businesses that you've acquired that have lent themselves. Is there? I guess have you thought of yourself going and doing going on the road trip and doing the stopping here and making a deal with somebody, or are you going to let them just come?
Yeah, my goal was to have again people come to us. My goal was always if you liked our model, if you liked what we're doing and we're demonstrating something that you would like. So I do want to be people's succession plan. We have had that recently happen. We had someone come to us and say hey, we want to sell our brokerage. You came up. We think that'd be a really great fit. And it was, but it wasn't the right fit for us at this time. But it's an honor. And I really quite enjoy, that kind of, I want that local and independent business to thrive. And so for me, as long as they are continuing down that path and maybe have somebody else as another option, I'm happy to recommend other people that are a better fit that way. We do say no to business a lot. We have been asked to get acquired alrery ourselves. And the answer was unfortunately no, but
that was the polite way that it was put.
Not for now. So to the answer to the question, we at some point, we might really go in and talk. And I do have a few that I personally have targeted that I have on the list that it would be really nice if we could add them to the team. But you have to want it. And as I've mentioned succession planning a couple of times now, but it really has to be your plan. If you are wanting a payday, I don't know that we're necessarily the right ones, right? But if it's important to you to keep your business local, Saskatchewan, in that community, then we might be a good opportunity for you that way, for sure.
Are the whole process of acquisitions and let's take one of them in the last 2 years, are they a very difficult process? When Mazer Group grows, it's there's a lot behind the scenes, but I mean, really very basic. You have fixed assets, you have inventory, you have land and building, you have goodwill, and pretty much you can come up with a number based on that,
Yeah, ours were share sales, which were not fun. I have to be honest, I'd always say if you can do an asset sale, do an asset sale. The share sales are tough because you're taking on whatever that existing business, is. And in our cases, a lot of the businesses that we acquired were paper-based. So there was a lot of technology build there and stuff that we had to do from that perspective. But I would say they're difficult. I have a lot of lessons learned already, from that perspective. So I think that our next one will be definitely handled differently.
Yep.
And getting your, like, you have to get your tax, accountants and everyone and your lawyers involved early on, and make sure that you have the goal very clear as to what you want to do.
Yep.
And do that. So
Totally. Yep.
I think that is my advice there, is just make sure that you're very clear with what your vision is and what you want to accomplish, and then they can help you set up for that,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Have you got right now, like, accounting, is that all done in-house? And, like, I mean, what we just taught, you're outside right now?
Yeah, I work with MNP. I'm not afraid to say who it is.
Perfect.
They're wonderful when it comes to the tax accountant and my personal accounting that way. They've been instrumental in helping us build out our vision.
Yeah.
And so, I would highly recommend that.
Yeah.
And again, talking about succession planning, but even if you're like, for me, you have to start thinking about succession planning so far in advance now. Like, I'm starting now, my kids are 5 and 2. Like, that's absolutely, like, whether or not you're gonna have a trust, whether or not you're gonna, like, what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Those sort of things I think all have to happen. And that's what I would say is one of the biggest changes with agriculture.
Sure.
is that succession planning. Like, if you're never gonna sell your land, you better start planning life insurance. You better start thinking about prepaying taxes, because if that land is going to stay with you forever and you're never going to get that $20 million payout, or you're never, or you bought it at 100,000 and now that quarter
farmers
is worth
don't have much money until they
700,000.
sell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then you got to figure out, how are you going to create that other asset, those other wealth, that if you're I'd say non-farming children, how are they going to, right? Because the days of splitting up the farm are gone. You can't do that.
Yeah, and it can get ugly too.
Oh, 100%.
Crazy ugly,
100%,
Awesome. Oh, that's so awesome. Has there ever been in the growth, like, I mean, it's only been 2 years, but, like,
I know, I wish I could say, like, over the last
so awesome,
decade.
but it's awesome. Like, I mean, that it's gotten to the size that it is, but, like, I mean, okay, so you're in Saskatoon. Were you always in Saskatoon?
No. So I worked for Blue Cross for 11 years and lived in Saskatoon. I went to university in Saskatoon. And then a gentleman and a job, let's call it a gentleman and a job, brought me to Regina. And I lived in Regina for 4 years. And then moved back to Saskatoon while I was expecting my first child. And
did you strong arm him? Like, I came here, now you got to come here.
Well, he was a big Regina boy. Like, he played for the Cougars here and, all that sort of thing. But he's actually from Eston, Saskatchewan. He was actually roommates with a dear friend, I think, that Jonathan Meyer. Who I think has happened to have on this.
Yes.
So they were roommates when I started dating him. Yes. And now Jonathan is one of our very best friends. I emceed his wedding.
He's an absolute beauty.
Oh, yeah. You can call him that for sure. I think he's,
That's one of the things.
He's one of the only people. Love the guy.
Right on. So the fun stuff of getting bigger, like, I mean, was there a moment that, like, we got to go look for a building here, like, I mean, there is that, like, excitement of we're growing, we need more room. Has there been a move in any, like, I know maybe the Rosetown and, like, the smaller communities, you are where you are, but, like, Saskatoon being HQ. Like, are you capable of growth right now? And if more people need to come on, I'm bumping everything today. It's crazy.
I'm a hand talker, so I know all about
it. So with Saskatoon being HQ, like, do you have room for the growth right now, of adding more people, that sort of thing, or is there like do we build?
This is the question.
So
we have almost, I would say, grown out our space in Saskatoon. So when we first started, we had 4 employees, and now we're at about 20. So we are going to be kind of at our max there pretty soon. There is potential for us to expand and grow a little bit in the space that we're in, but we did do renovations in 2. So we actually, the place in Saskatoon, we kind of completely gutted.
No way.
And redid that whole thing before we even took possession, kind of thing. And so that's what we did there. And then we purchased one of the buildings in the smaller communities that we are in Dodsland. We bought that building and renovated it as well.
Nice.
All within that first year there. So, all the things
so
that
much
I know.
Happening, like crazy.
It's been great. But honestly, we have such a good team, and they've all, the neat thing is that a lot of them have come wanting to make a difference and wanting to be a part of something that's different. And that's the cool thing, is that when people are coming to you, both from like the carry perspective, potentially that they want you to buy your business and now they want to work with you. It's just like, you can't be like, I'm on cloud 9 from that perspective. It's it's a great culture, and we can hopefully sustain it. I think is going to be the biggest thing. I think maintenance and sustainability is going to be our biggest thing.
Well, the insurance world is not going anywhere.
No.
Like, I mean, we're always going to have to happen. So I mean, like, I mean, your model and your strategy is awesome. And yeah, it's just great to hear. Like, I mean, I love the whole story and like the growth so quick. And I mean, yeah, it's just awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really awesome, Sarah. It really is.
We're proud of it.
That's right. Yeah. So, what's next? You're in. I'm not even gonna ask you what you're in town for, but
we got a golf tournament coming up.
Yeah. I'm super excited about
your
it.
brainchild.
Yeah. Well, no, Christy, who is leads up she's our VP of group benefits, and she's an absolute rock star when it comes to group benefits. She's an avid golfer, and she's very, very good golfer. And we were just talking about all the golf tournaments that we were doing, and we do a customer appreciations in every location every year. 2 years. I love this. So every year. Last year we did it. But so what our plan is with the Community of Care grant is to do that every year and switch around who the charitable giving goes to. And so in this case, we're going to have the golf tournament in Rosetown. Next year we'll be in Saskatoon. Gotcha. The year after that might be in one of our other locations. Some of our rural communities don't have a golf course in their community, but are very close to it, and we'll probably support those surrounding areas or things of that nature. But again, it's that movability and trying to support the community. Yep. It always helps to host a nice big golf tournament in a smaller community that way, and then gets back to the golf course, and they can put some funds back into their the course and things like that. So that's kind of what we did it for, and also just to get together. Like I'm not going to sit here and pretend that you don't have fun in insurance. You know. There's always alcohol at every single event that there possibly can be at. And that was one of the first things shocking. You come into insurance and you're like, there is alcohol at the trade show. There is alcohol at it's everywhere.
Because they all have liability insurance.
Yeah. Or know somebody who does.
Yeah, they're like, we're fine, guys.
Exactly.
Break a leg.
Yeah. Or it's just so stressful, you need a release. But
That's funny.
Yeah.
So good.
And then some acquisitions in Manitoba.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they got the one coming in August, I think, that you said, right?
Yeah.
And
that's the Saskatchewan one.
Yeah. And then, so Manitoba will be the first provincial expansion, and then you've got plans to go to Alberta.
Yeah, we do have an individual that's in Alberta right now, and so we do have some business in Alberta right now. But again, nothing that we're like out there advertising. It's more kind of just we do most of our business on referral. Yeah. So
gotcha.
I think it's great to have
it's so awesome.
Another local success story of a business that stayed in the family, that is growing in smaller communities, Saskatchewan. I think sometimes they get forgotten. Yeah. And that still wants to have that Saskatchewan feel to their business, but think big. Yeah. I think Saskatchewan needs more of that. And I commend you on doing that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Unbelievable. I'm going to ask you right now, like, will you come back?
For sure.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Like, we should, whether it be a year or a couple of years, like, in a couple of years, there'll probably be 45 locations. And
I hope not.
Should we fly it on a helicopter?
That does not work with my succession planning. That was not it.
But I love your story, Sarah, and I love you.
Yeah.
And it's just been, and congratulations on your success so far. I mean, I'm just really interested to see where this ship goes, because I mean, it's on a path for success and going quick. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride so far.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming. I really appreciate you coming on, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
It's been great.
Yeah.